Peace and greetings again. This is Brother Teacher. I ran into an interesting situation, if you want to call it a situation, but an interesting event a couple days ago on a video that I was watching on YouTube, and I made a comment. And the comment was in response to someone else's comment on the Aikido video. Let me preface this by saying that the Aikido video was about something other than Aikido in the traditional sense or fashion. And there were some techniques that they demonstrated in their video that is usually not done in traditional Aikido, such as ground techniques or fighting from the ground. And that was pretty much the subject of the video. And there was one individual that responded and made the statement that they were doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And in all humility, I did not attack that individual's answer, but I made the statement from that observation of their response, that is, and said that Jiu-Jitsu existed. And I said, with all due respect, those were my words exactly in my response. I said, with all due respect, Jiu-Jitsu existed before the Gracies, or before Brazil even ever knew of what Jiu-Jitsu was. And so sometime later on in that evening, I happened to go through my email notifications and to find out that the individual responded to my response. And it seemed to me that they were a little irritated at my answer. And they took out of context what I said. And the gentleman that responded basically said he looked something up on Wikipedia breaking down what Aikido was, and that it came from, sword fighting and spear fighting and so on and so forth as far as its origin. He wasn't telling me anything that I didn't already know, but that was not the subject. The subject was what they were doing on the ground, not being exclusive to Brazil, or exclusive to the Gracie brothers or family, as it were. And again, I said this, that Jiu-Jitsu didn't begin with the Gracies. They did not invent Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And his tort was, he'll call or categorize, was his exact words, he'll categorize in any way he wants to, and I categorize it any way that I wanted to. And that was so juvenile or childish in my mind, because it seems here, I can't say lately, but it has been lately in terms of events as it relates to me and videos of mine on YouTube, that you have to walk on eggshells almost when you offer a viewpoint, an opinion, or any insight into something that's being promoted on YouTube. And some people are carrying their feelings on their sleeves, and sometimes you almost don't want to respond to a video, but the social network is open to us all. And I think it would be a disenfranchisement to all of the other listeners and watchers of this particular platform that we call YouTube, to not participate when it's there for that exact purpose. So I said all of that to say this, to encourage and to admonish those that view videos of whatever the genre is on YouTube, be it self-help or martial arts, music, or media in the form of entertainment, or even the news. Be very careful how you word things. Be very careful in understanding who it is that you might be talking to. And when you make certain statements, also understand that there are some people who will take things the wrong way, even when they're not intended that way, even when you are utilizing discretion. It's just that way because there are some people in our society who just have personal issues and, in some respects, a lack of development as grown people for the most part. And these are not children that I'm referring to. These are grown people. And there has to come a time when you have a certain amount of thick skin. And really, it doesn't take having thick skin in this particular scenario that I gave you pertaining to me. It just really takes you being an adult and learning how to deal with other adults' comments, especially when those comments are not intended to do you harm or to attack you in any way at all. And if there's a subject matter and you have the opportunity to respond to that subject, be it negative or positive, as long as you do it in good taste, the people on the receiving end should take it in kind and should not attack you. Of course, we can't control that, but it does happen. But you know what I'm saying. So I finished that video response by responding finally and telling the person that I did indeed respect them and be mindful of that fact, and that I understood where they were coming from, and I told them that was the end of it in peace, and then I left. But again, and I'm not trying to ramble on, but it's interesting in the martial arts arena how many people, it has nothing to do with this individual here, I'm just speaking in general and to the collective. It's interesting in the martial arts community how you have so many people who, excuse my expression, have arrived. And I mean that to say they're so big, they have so much rank, so much status and position that they can't take constructive criticism. And when you don't use colorful language, when you're addressing these individuals, when you are very respectful, very dignified, and you use very cordial conversation with them, somehow it's not that, it's the subject matter. Some subjects people just are sensitive about. For example, your martial arts style or system not being traditionally like someone else's. They see you performing something on YouTube, and then the first thing they do oftentimes, be it someone who actually studies martial arts or someone who's just an aficionado, so to speak, they want to compare you to some other system or to their own system, and they basically measured you and said that this is not the way it's supposed to be done because it's not according to our standards and so on. I think you get the point as well. So, you know, you can't compare what you do to what someone else does unless it's specifically that thing. In other words, good example is Taekwondo. Virtually anywhere you go in the world, Taekwondo is Taekwondo. It looks the same. It has the same kicks, fundamentally the same techniques, and the whole basis of it is the same no matter where you go. Now, the forms might differ. The uniforms and the ranking system might even differ in a subtle way, but for the most part, it's still Taekwondo. But when you have individuals that study what some would call today mixed martial arts, and I did mixed martial arts when I was a child, a teenager, coming up. And what they do today, I can't really say that's mixed martial arts. It's something else. But anyway, when you have studied more than one discipline, and then all of those disciplines holistically blend together in your application, people want to try to chisel it up. They want to try to dismantle it and try to categorize it and say this is what you are, when they in fact really don't know what you are unless you tell them that or explain it to them. And what I'm saying in essence is this on this particular subject, and then I'm done. People have the right to study and train in whatever they desire, whatever they are passionate about. There are some people who play one instrument. You might play the piano. There's other individuals who play the piano, the guitar, and the violin. And there are some individuals who play percussions, the drums, the congos, and maybe the flute. So the person who plays one instrument can't be upset with the other individuals because they have an eclectic blend, or their particular craft seems to be a little bit obscured based on how they were trained in that one thing. For example, you study Goju-Ryu karate. Someone studies Goju-Ryu, Shotokan, Isshin-Ryu, Wado-Ryu. They study all four of those. And when you only looking through the lens of a person who studied that one art, Goju-Ryu, you want to base all of the things that they have done, even how similar they may be, you want to base them solely on the one thing that you do. That's not unfair. That is unfair to that person and that person's training, because it has absolutely nothing to do with you. So when someone is studying something that you really are not quite familiar with, or because you don't have the discipline to study more than one thing, or you want to be aligned to only one thing and only loyal to one thing, that's your prerogative. But it's also the prerogative of that individual to study as many arts and to delve into the mysteries of the diversities of other arts, as opposed to just studying one. This is Brother Teacher. Let me know what your opinion is, what your viewpoint is in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to respond to you. And as always, Yahweh love you, and I love you, and so long.